Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kakadash, double honor to the apostles, and also great millstone for teaching us his truth, peace, and blessings. To the whole collective wisdom, Shalom. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, Shatiru, by Hashem is the name, and Yahweh Shai is the name of the begotten Son. Back in our lesson, as you see, Fednow is now launched and implemented, and you're ultimately seeing the build-up and the steps that are being taken in order to usher in this beast system, this CBDC. As you saw a couple weeks ago, you had WF come out and say that CBDCs must be implanted under your skin, showing you what it's ultimately going to be. Going back to Revelation 13:16, how the charagma, that the MOTB, will be a physical mark, which is the RFID C-HIP. And you're seeing the steps that are being taken in order to reach that goal. With Fednow being implemented, it's going to pretty much do away with your PayPals, your Cash Apps, and pretty much forcing you to go through them. And now many people are going to see the benefits of having Fednow with the instant payments and all that, which you're about to see, which we'll get the information just to go a little more into if you don't know already. And we'll get a few scriptures that came to mind going into the MOTB and the buildup that we are seeing, especially going to 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11, how we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, because we see the buildup and what this devil's trying to do. A is 144 up top. A, Lord willing, man. Because you also see many of the nations are leaving the dollar. The dollar is losing its value. They're dropping at an immense rate. You have America in its all-time high in debt. I believe 31 trillion, if not 32. So things are going downhill, man. And many people are going to seek for a so-called solution for a bigger and better currency. And these devils are going to swoop in with that so-called solution in order to fix that problem that they ultimately started. Which is going to be that MOTB, this digital currency that they want to push out. Slowly but surely, which you are seeing. But let's continue on. Now, it says, Federal Reserve officially launches a new Fednow instant payment service, which I believe is over 3 days ago, but it's now implemented, which I've been speaking on it this past, couple weeks, making these lessons, and I'll mention, Fednow can be implemented either, later this month, if not next month. So, hey, you're seeing the build-up, man. But hey, things are happening. Now, the Federal Reserve launched its Fednow instant payment services Thursday. Several years of developing a system, officials say, will allow the faster flow of cash for businesses and individuals. So a lot of people see the so-called benefits and the incentives of having Fednow with the instant payments, how much quicker and easier it is. And also no coincidence that you saw, I believe, the CEO of Cash App, pretty much get taken out. Whether it's providing instant access to paychecks, allowing for last-minute bill payments, or sending government payments out to individuals, the system is expected to improve the flow of money throughout the U.S. And ultimately what they want to do is make sure where they're the only one that you can go through, And very soon when they start implementing more mandates, more restrictions, you're going to need to have that MOTB. As going a couple weeks ago, that article that came out, as I mentioned earlier, of WF saying that you're going to need to have the MOTB if you want to live in this society, pretty much. Go back to Revelation, the 13th chapter, onto the 17th verse, how you won't be able to buy nor sell without it. So you see how they're slowly starting to, tighten that grip. Very soon you'll be forced to make a choice. Now, so whether it's providing instant access to paychecks, allowing for last-minute bills, payments, or sending government payments out to individuals, the system is expected to improve the flow of money through the U.S. economy. But as you see, it's pretty much crashing. That's why you're going to have a lot of people look for something that's bigger and better, which these devils are going to swoop in with. As the Federal Reserve built the Fednow service to help make everyday payments over the coming years faster and more convenient, Chair Jerome Powell said over time, as more banks choose to use this new tool, the benefits to individuals and businesses will include enabling a person to immediately receive a paycheck or a company to instantly access funds when an invoice is paid. So that's the spirit right there. I didn't read this article yet, but I was just speaking on the benefits. So a lot of people are going to hop on board with that and see how much more beneficial it is and easier and quick. Especially with people in Babylon the Great. How lazy they are. Anything that makes it 1 second faster, they're going to hop right along with it. As so far, 35 earlier adopters, including JP Morgan, Chase, and Wells Fargo, 2 of the 4 largest banks in the U.S., have signed up. Who's running the banks? Did you know this? Now we got a few more articles. Just to go a little more into it once again. Read a little bit of it and we'll dive into the description. Now it says, the Federal Reserve has launched its instant payment service, Fednow, for direct deposits and transfers between individuals' bank accounts. Yahoo Finance Fed reporter Jennifer Schonberger details the difference between Fednow and peer-to-peer service like PayPal and Venmo as banks slowly adopt the service. And ultimately, they want to pretty much do away with Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, and as I mentioned earlier, pretty much make it to where you need to go through them. Especially when the MOTB is implemented and pushed out, that's going to be pretty much the universal remote. You know how your universal remote goes to everything in your house, your TV, your console, your TV in your other room, whatever the case may be. That's what the MOTB is going to be. Everything will be ran through that charagma, because you're already seeing multiple stores moving to a more digitized system, more self-checkout aisles. You're having stores putting pretty much digital locks, on doors to where you need to scan your ID in order to open it. You have schools implementing lockers that have digital locks on it to where you need to have your school ID in order to open it. Very soon they'll start running things through that MOTB, which is the RFID chip, man, whether you see it or not. And this is a step towards that. Now, let's get this last one right here. So your paycheck could clear faster now that Fednow instant payment service for banks has launched. Read a couple of these right here. The Federal Reserve launched a new instant payment service Thursday, which we read. It says Fednow allow banks and credit unions to sign up to send real-time payments so that it can offer customers a quicker way to send money between banks. So ultimately what they're offering, is convenience, which you're going to have a lot of people, most going to hop on board with. Now, it says Fednow, which has first announced in 2019, published a list of banks and credit unions that are already signed up to the service. However, it might take longer for customers to be able to use the service with their bank. But you get the main point. As the saying goes, all roads lead to the MOTB. And as you've been seeing, all these things have been doing within these stores, the schools, and your businesses, as I keep mentioning, dealing with the lockers, doors that have digital locks. And even over there in China, they have pretty much headsets, within the schools where children wear, and it pretty much tracks their brain waves to see if they're paying attention or not. And you have, I posted a video on my channel. It's like one of those 40-second videos. I forget exactly what they're called, but you had someone, scan their face in order to enter a certain area, of a location that they're at. You even see with Amazon One, paying with the palm of your hand. What do you think that's leading up to, man? Revelation 13, 16 to 17. Let's continue on. As it called all small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads. That mark is speaking of a physical one. You still have a lot of these Israelite camps that are still pushing that the MOTB is a spiritual mark, that it's sin itself, when that's not the case. And ultimately, the proof cannot get any clearer. Especially going a few weeks back where you had the WEF come out and say that CBDCs will need to be implanted under your skin, especially if you want to participate in society. What does Scripture say right here in the 17th verse? Which we'll go back to the 16th, but I don't get this real quick. And that no man might buy or sell. So very soon you won't be able to operate or live a so-called normal life without having that charagma. And that's where our faith is going to be tried, and where we're going to be tested. A choice will have to be made, man. But a lot of people are going to see the convenience of having Fednow and all these different implementations that they're pushing out, that's moving to a digitized route, a digitized system, a digitized society. Especially with I think Apple came out a couple weeks back. It was pretty much kind of similar to Google Glasses, where you can see holograms in front of you and all that. We're just pretty much going to do away with people wanting to have phones, laptops anymore, Especially now that you see Elon Musk beginning Neuralink, human trial testing. And you already have a lot of people that already have, pretty much something similar to the Neuralink. Where they were once paralyzed, now they're able to walk again, maneuver around, So a lot of people want to see the benefits of these things and ultimately be deceived, man. And it's like if I'm kind of rambling, but the Lord told me to get the point across. But, excuse me. Let's give 16th verse one more time. And he called to what's my great rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their forehead. And ultimately the main point I was trying to bring out is going into the steps that are being taken. You're seeing the buildup, man. As I mentioned earlier, all roads lead to the MOTB. And as you see, all the steps that are being taken in order to go that route, that direction of the implementation of this MOTB, this B system. The CBDC going to central bank digital currency. As you see, many nations are leaving the dollar. America's economy crumbling under itself. The dollar losing its value. People wanting to drop it. So a lot of people want to look for a so-called solution. Now, said, and he called to us my great rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their forehead. And I do want to prove that the mark in the Revelation 13:16 is speaking of a physical one. Still lock it for a minute. All right. Now let's get the word mark, which goes into the word charagma in the Greek. And that's why it's important to look into the etymology of the word so you know what you're talking about. That's why it's going to be going to the studies to show itself approved. Now it says, we're going to play this real quick so you hear it.
Strong's G 5480. Charagma. Charagma.
So charagma. Now it says, where is that? Okay, a scratch or etching stamp as a badge of servitude. Now it says a stamp or an printed mark. Thing, carved, sculpture, graven work. So there you go. Showing you that it's a physical one. It cannot get any clearer, man. And you have like these camps that are pushing that sin itself. Yes, it is a sin if you do take it. It is a sin unto death. You will be destroyed for it. But it's not sin itself. As you know, when you go into the scriptures, the MOTB, if you do take it, that's not a sin that you can repent from, man. Now, that's a one-way ticket to your front row seats of thermonuclear destruction. It was 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. Now, it says, let Satan trick and avenge us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So we see what he's playing out, what he's trying to do with all the steps that are being taken, the implementation of Fednow, which is pretty much going to do it with your Cash Apps, your, I was about to say Fednow, your PayPals, your Venmos, and what's going to make it to where they're the only route that you can go to, So, and you can see how they'll use that to their advantage to where we're updating Fednow where you need to have the charagma, the MOTB if you want to pay your bills on time, If you're going to go out and buy food within the stores, if you're going to go to your job, a choice will have to be made, man. All right, Revelation chapter 2, verse 10, that's going to the persecution that we will be facing for denying this charagma, for standing stiffly, and boldly for the Lord. Now it says, for fear of the things which thou shalt suffer, behold, the devil shall cast you into prison, going to a certain period of time, especially that you see Walmarts are being shut down all over the world, or all over Babylon the Great. So you can see what that's being, or will be used for. Walmart being a play on words, switched around, martial law. So a lot of these will be used as, I was about to say headquarters, but pretty much martial law centers, or film camp centers. But it says, behold, the devil shall cast you into prison, that you may be tried, and shall have tribulation 10 days, going to a certain period of time. Be thou faithful unto death, and I'll give thee a crown of life. So if you remain faithful, continue to believe and endure, the Lord's going to take care of us, man. Best believe that. Which I got another scripture in Isaiah 10:20, which we'll get after this, or a little bit after the scripture right here. Because we're no longer going to rely upon these devils, man. We're going to be fully relied upon our God, Yahweh B'Shem Al Shai, to take care of us, to protect us, to defend us. Because you have many Jakes that will, you ask these unfaithful questions. How are we going to eat? What are we going to do? Do we buy plane tickets to flee America? Put your faith in the Lord, man. Multiple scriptures want how the Lord's going to take care of us. Revelation 3:10. Watch this. Because I was kept on my patience, I will also, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which will be ultimately the MOTBs presented in front of us, which shall come upon all the world to try them and dwell upon the earth. So the Lord is going to give us the strength and the spirit to endure and to deny these things, man, because it's going to be hard. You have many people in this industry that know this truth are going to crack on that person that's going to bend the knee and take it. You know, just like when you had the juice mandates pretty much being implemented and pushed out, you have many people that knew this truth, that pretty much went out and took it. You know, so you already failed this trial run, this pop quiz, so it makes you think you're going to pass the test. You know, when you had other brothers that were willing and ready to lose their job for this thing, man. So, hey, our faith is going to be put on the line, man. Now, it's James 1:12, down to that point, one of my favorite scriptures. Blessed is the man that there is temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life. So, we got to endure. Remain faithful, believe, man. Because if you don't believe, if you don't have faith, then there's a problem. You know, simple as that. That's why Scripture goes into how all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Now it says, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life which the Lord hath promised them that love him. So if we endure, remain faithful, and believe, there is a reward and a prize waiting for us at the end of that finish line, man. You best believe that. You know, Scripture going to how our labor is not in vain. As Isaiah 10:1 to go on the righteous decrees. As the ones that decree and righteous decrees and outright grievances which they have prescribed, and it's going to go into these draconian, harsh like laws that they're going to implement and push out in order to force, you know, the people's hands and push you into a corner. Because guess what? A choice will have to be made, man. And only one of them is correct. And then you have many of our people that's going to rely upon Esau, Edom, that's going to put their faith and trust in these devils. But that's going to turn out well. Isaiah 31:2-3, down to that point I was mentioning. It says, woe to your bellies, children, saith the Lord, that take counsel but not of me, and that cover with the covering but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. You have many of our people that take counsel, you know, from these devils, man, that put their full faith and trust in them, you know, because Jake fully thinks that this government is set in place for your benefit, for your well-being, you know. But now it says that walk to go into Egypt, and I have not asked my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Verse 3, now this is going to be your downfall right here. Now, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. So it's going to be your shame and your confusion for trusting in these devils, man. You know, you don't want to put your faith and trust in the Lord to take care of you, to protect you, to defend you. You're going to be destroying a lot. It's like you're going to be destroyed along with these devils, man. Isaiah 10:20, as I brought up earlier, which I was wanting to get. And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote him. So we're not going to rely upon these devils any longer. Of course, we still got to adapt and maneuver right now, you know. But once they start implementing these things, these mandates, dealing with the MOTB, you know, when that program is being fully implemented, that's when we're taking a step back and rely upon our God, Yahweh Bashim Shai. Now it says, but shall stay upon the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. So, hey, we have the one true living God on our side, man. So as we want to have the Lord is with us, who can be against us? Now we're going to shut down with Habakkuk 2:3. The Lord wasn't too long of a lesson, but Lord was edifying, quick to the point. As you see, the implementation of Fednow, you know, with it now being launched, you're ultimately seeing the steps that are being taken in order to, you know, implement this beast system, you know, and usher in this MOTB. Now Habakkuk 2:3, to shut this down, for the visions yet from the point of time. See the NOT. This vision is for a future time. Now, what is that vision speaking of? The prophecies, man. Now, it says, but the end shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it shall come, it will not tarry, meaning it will not delay. So these things will happen, and it won't come to pass, man. You know, the scripture going to how his word shall not return to him void, so everything's going to be fulfilled and come to pass as it is written, and as the Lord sent out to do. So, hope prayer is edifying, you know, quick and to the point. I do want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bashim Shai, Bashim Kakadash, the born to the apostles, and also great millstone for teaching us his truth, peace, and blessings. To the hope, like the visible, inshallah. See you next one, Lord willing.